Can I have normal shoes, please, so I'm not on TV looking like this? I don't even have underwear. Can I put pants on?
There's more incriminating evidence that suggests Colin Albert was, in fact, in the house.
I know this happened because I talked to Steve Scandlin on the phone.
Colin and Brian beat up John, broke his nose, and knocked him out.
Your parents can come over here and retrieve anything.
But I don't want to be on Channel 4 in my pajamas.
I wouldn't worry about the news right now. Speak to me at all right now?
No.
Feel crazy. Oh, fuck her, bitch. The camera's on her. She's more concerned when she looks like on TV.
Brian Albert and Brian Higgins wait until 3 or 4 in the morning and place John at the edge of the property.
When my sister passed away, we became friends, and he offered up the space because I had also moved there, so it was close. It was a jumping off point.
Had that tipster never provided that information, I'm not sure if we'd be here.
I could do 5 reasons why Colin was in the house. Lo and behold, there's more incriminating evidence that suggests Colin Albert was, in fact, in the house.
Samantha is back, and she has receipts proving that little Colin Albert was in the house when John O'Keefe was killed by Brian Higgins. Let's watch.
Does that mean Colin Albert killed John O'Keefe? Not necessarily, but there are reasons to believe that he was at a minimum there. I know there are some of us who very much believe that Colin Albert was home in bed giving mommy and daddy kisses and not at 34 Fairview Road at the time of John O'Keefe's death. That makes sense. Obviously, Karen Reed is among those people because her civil suit does not include Colin Albert.
That's a great point by Samantha. If Karen Reed's attorneys thought that Colin had anything to do with the death of John O'Keefe, they would have had to name him in the complaint. Failing to do so would be legal malpractice and most likely unethical. The reason you name him now is there are time limits with regard to claims. It doesn't matter if little Colin has 0 assets or a lot of assets. The burden is upon Karen's team, and Karen in particular, to prove that John O'Keefe was killed not by her, but by someone else, and then covered it up.
At least not yet. They are amongst those who, at the moment anyway, don't believe that Colin Albert was in the house, or at least don't have enough evidence to prove that Colin Albert was in the house.
The lawyer and the team that's leading this charge is Charles Waters and at Sheehan Finney, and the folks that are behind this masterpiece that is the new complaint.
Allen's referring to Karen's legal team that drafted what he calls the brilliant complaint, which does not allege Colin Albert was involved.
The complaint names 8 defendants: Michael Proctor.
Oh, fuck her, bitch. No nude so far.
Sergeant Yuri Buchanan.
I just want you to know who I am.
Lieutenant Brian Tully. Brian and Nicole Albert.
I butt dial people often, plowed and then pulled out.
Jennifer and Matt McCabe, and the ATF agent Brian Higgy Baby Higgins.
Brian Higgins.
Charles Waters, Chaz Waters. I don't see Colin Albert's name on the list of people we're going after. Is he part of it just because, could he be part of it, or he just didn't get a name check?
Well, Billy, I'm required as a matter of professional ethics to stick with what's been alleged.
Translation, they don't believe Colin Albert was involved at all.
I'm going to leave it up to the complaint to make any points about Colin Albert. Separately from that, if we pursue discovery and we take depositions or we get documents, and anybody, it could be Colin Albert, it could be anybody else, if their name comes up and we have reason to believe that there are allegations that should be made by other parties, you can bet we're going to make them.
That's always the case, and that applies to everyone. If they had any type of evidence to even hint that Colin Albert was involved in their possession right now, after all these years of obtaining information, they would clearly name him.
But I am someone who isn't quite so sure.
But I'm going to leave it up to the complaint to make any points about Colin Albert.
Today, I came with receipts to explain very clearly to you why it is that I cannot say Colin Albert wasn't in the house when John O'Keefe was murdered.
And we have to thank Samantha for keeping this push alive. even if it turns out Colin was not at the house when John O'Keefe arrived, there's a great chance we're going to learn something new that will make it easy to prove that the real killer is
Brian Higgins.
Number 7, Steve Scandlin.
So my first inkling that this was going to be something different was when I saw the manslaughter charge.
More issues for you.
I was cuffed by Proctor. I had on boxer shorts, no underpants, a tank top, and I had thrown a cardigan on it when I heard them out front, and I had on my slippers.
Take care of it. So what type of medication do you need?
I need
right now.
I need medication and some personal bathroom items.
There's our favorite dopey trooper, Michael Proctor, and she's speaking right now to Yuri Bukanik.
Okay, what type of medication and where is it that we can get it for?
Can I have normal shoes, please, so I'm not on TV looking like this?
Yes.
These I don't even have underwear. Can I put pants on?
Again, your parents can come over here and retrieve anything.
But I don't want to be on Channel 4 in my pajamas.
I wouldn't worry about the news right now. Speak to me at all right now?
No.
See how crazy she is? The camera's on her. She's more concerned when she looks like on TV.
That afternoon after her arraignment, I go back to my home office, call back somebody who had called the office to say, hey, you got to look at the people inside that house. The homeowner,
Brian, last name Albert.
and his nephew.
How are you?
I know as a fact that on February 2nd, he went to David Yannetti.
The person they're referring to is Steve Scandlin. He's number 7 on Samantha's list of the top 7 reasons why Colin Albert was at the house when Brian Higgins murdered John O'Keefe.
I know this happened because I talked to Steve Scandlin on the phone. We had a conversation, tracked him down after court, and was the first person to tell David Yannetti that John O'Keefe was in that house and that he was beaten up and put on the lawn.
The first time Karen was arrested, I remember going back to my home office that afternoon, and my paralegal told me that a guy named Mike had called the office and he has important information for me. I called him back. You know, it was like a holy smokes moment, because he said that perhaps someone else caused the death of John O'Keefe.
He got a call at his office, and this person said, you need to look at the folks inside 34 Fairview. You need to look really hard at the homeowners. You need to look really hard at the occupants of the house.
We didn't have any inkling that there might have been somebody else out there who did it.
Brian Higgins.
Now, this guy is a longtime affiliate of Brian Albert Sr.
That's Steve Scandlin posing with Brian Albert.
And the two both represented the Boston Police Department boxing team way back in the day. Oh, the irony of that.
Are the champion! We did it! I love you! Woo!
It has never been clear whether or not he was basing his opinion on facts, something hearsay, something he heard from somebody else, or if it was just his knowledge and awareness of the kind of people that Brian Albert and his nephew Colin Albert were that made him think, oh, yeah, you definitely got to look at the people in this house. But either way, it's important. And here is allegedly what Scandlin told Yannetti. And when, to be fair, he was asked to put pen to paper in an affidavit, he disappeared.
When I first saw this writing, I thought this should be reason number 1 that Colin Albert was involved in the death of John O'Keefe.
So here is his story. Colin and Brian beat up John, broke his nose, and knocked him out. A couple hours later, John was convulsing and vomiting everywhere. Brian Albert and Brian Higgins wait until 3 or 4 in the morning and place John at the edge of the property. He told us this 2 days after John died. He said John fell backwards when he became unconscious and split his head open.
I called him into my office. It didn't really go anywhere with him beyond that. It's not like he was a witness or that we could use him. That tip was invaluable because it sent us in a different direction very early on in this investigation.
Had that tipster never provided that information, I'm not sure if we'd be here. After this tipster, we start seeing the new defense.
And that's a great point, and that's why I will never criticize Samantha or anyone that comes up with any theory. Every time we look at something, we find something new to figure out how, when, and where Brian Higgins killed John O'Keefe.
No, she didn't do it.
The defense
has an alternative story about what happened here. John O'Keefe went inside that house, and the allegation is that something happened in there.
What do you think? Well, certainly the Massachusetts State Police is involved. There are people that were in that house that are involved. Brian Albert is involved. Jennifer McCabe is involved. The rest of the folks that were in that house, there's some level of involvement by everyone.
And then it hit me, that written notice and Alan Jackson right there never referenced Brian Higgins, the true killer. They were initially told that it was Brian Albert and Colin, and that is what led everyone to assume that little Colin Albert had something to do with the murder. Recall that in trial number 1 and in that HBO documentary, they never referenced the fact that Brian Higgins, a member of the 10 people in the entire world that could have possibly killed John O'Keefe, was caught on video threatening him just 30 minutes before he actually attacked him. And then at 12:20 a.m., that big boy Brian Higgins sent a text, "Are you coming here?" And then at 12:20 and 48 seconds, Brian Higgins, that big boy sulking in his girly Jeep, sent the text, "Are you coming here?" with 3 question marks.
You coming here, followed by 3 question marks.
Prompting John to come and fight. And a few minutes later, what happens? Old John O'Keefe walks right up that driveway.
The people in the house that night included Brian Albert, the owner of the home, and Brian Higgins. Brian Albert is a Boston police officer. He's the head of a fugitive unit. Brian Higgins is a federal ATF agent.
I'm a special agent with the United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives.
I'm a union pipe fitter. Caitlin Albert. She's my girlfriend. I own a small pizza shop.
And friends with the chief of police of the Canton Police Department.
Friends that have helped me get courage.
Brian Higgins.
When I didn't have it.
That is old Kenny Berkowitz, the Canton police chief at that time. Recall he had a special relationship with Brian Higgins, born out of a tragedy.
And how was it that you came to have an office in Canton?
That relationship it was through Chief Berkowitz, born through a tragedy. When my sister passed away, we became friends, and he offered up the space because I had also moved there, so it was close. It was a jumping off point.
Although Brian Albert is trying to convince us that it takes between 30 and 50 people to pull off this conspiracy, the evidence is clear now. The only 3 people that knew were Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, and the chief of police, Kenny Berkowitz, who conveniently has not been heard of for the past 2 years. Again, we want to thank Samantha for getting us this information, because we are not going to stop producing these videos until the real killer,
Brian Higgins,
is brought to justice.